Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law. I hope you're having a great day, and we are here with what I'm going to classify as a latest edition in Stupid Letter Time. This is not strictly speaking a letter, it's an editorial, but whatever. We're treating it as Stupid Letter Time because apparently the right wing is responsible for the phrase believe all women and all the bad things that have occurred from this. This is the right wing. Now, I put as the image for this broadcast an image from the Kavanaugh debacle, hearings, whatever, to show contemporaneous evidence. The idea of believe all is not exactly a modern or right wing phenomenon. Believe all survivors, believe all women. This is something that was going around at the time of the Kavanaugh hearing. But no, my memory is bad. As it turns out, the left and the progressives and the feminists never said believe all women. What they said was believe women. And it's the evil right wing that has turned it into the phrase believe all women. So just to be clear, whatever your lying memory is telling you, the left, progressives, feminists, all they ever said was believe women. It was the right wing that came up with believe all women. Okay, that's a thing that's apparently occurring. So we're going to read this article from the New York Times and comment along the way. Believe all women is a right-wing trap. How feminists got stuck answering for Kennard. Well, maybe you got stuck answering with it because it was your idea. Even if you had said believe women, the phrase is unqualified. Believe what women? The phrase suggests all because it's undifferentiated, unqualified. So, I'm not sure how much semantic difference there is between believe women and believe all women, but apparently there's enough to justify this article. Very exciting. Joe Biden has been accused of sexual assault, or more properly, rape, because what he was accused of would qualify as rape. So, just for the record. And conservatives are having a field day. Excellent that they've caught feminists in a new hypocrisy trap. A little bit, yes. A woman with no corroboration beyond contemporaneous accounts. Well, that's one hell of a phrasing. A woman with no corroboration except for the contemporaneous accounts, which is more than Ford had. Ford didn't even have the contemporaneous accounts. She didn't report it to anyone at the time. There was no one she told at the time. And all the people that she said were there, said, no, I wasn't. I've never even heard of Kavanaugh. There was no such party. I've never even heard of this guy. I've never met him ever. That was what their test. So Blasey Ford should be believed, despite the lack of corroboration, because no woman would ever lie. But this woman, even though she has contemporaneous accounts, shouldn't be believed. Wow. So with no corroboration except for the corroboration, charges the powerful man with a decades-old crime. Doesn't that sound mildly close to Christine Blasey Ford complaint against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh? No, it doesn't, because Christine Blasey Ford did not have contemporaneous corroboration. This woman has contemporaneous accounts. Blasey Ford does not have contemporaneous accounts. There was no one she told at the time, which is what you mean by contemporaneous. At the time, that's contemporaneous. She didn't tell anyone at the time. No one said she told him at the time, and no one says now. So isn't that just like Blasey Ford? No. No, it's not. It's more than Blasey Ford. Blasey Ford didn't have contemporaneous accounts. This woman has contemporaneous accounts. She has more than Ford did. Does it sound just like Kavanaugh? No. It sounds like more than that. But, okay. Yet this time, many liberals who champion the Me Too movement seem skeptical. Gotcha. A little bit, yes. If you believe Blasey Ford, despite the fact that she didn't tell anyone at the time, that all the people she said were at that party not only said that not only was Kavanaugh not at that party, but they never even met him, ever. So there's no contemporaneous witnesses, there's no modern witness, there's no physical evidence. So if you believe Blasey Ford, despite the lack of anything, then logically one would have to believe Miss Reed too, the woman who is accusing Joe Biden, who has contemporaneous accounts. She told women at the time. She has witnesses who says, yes, I told him at the time. Her mother famously called into Larry King to report it at the time. There are contemporaneous accounts. So how can you believe Blasey Ford and not believe Miss Reed? Unclear. I actually know what the answer is, of course. The answer is no matter who, blue no matter who. That's the answer to this question. Blue no matter who. So Me Too is not a principle. It's just a method of attacking the other party. That's the answer to the question. I don't know what their answer to the question is, but that's the answer to the question. Tim Grant, executive editor of Newsbusters. Where is the Me Too movement on this story? Outstanding question. That is a really outstanding question. Where is the Me Too movement on this story? She's a woman who said that Joe Biden, as I understand it, fingered her. Which, again, if true, qualifies as rape, not just sexual assault. At least under modern definitions. I don't know the definitions of crime at the time. But under the relevant definitions now, that qualifies as rape. Yeah. So, there's that. What happened to the rigid believe all women boilerplate? Outstanding good question. Fox News host Tucker Carlson. The infuriating, sickening hypocrisy of the media and the professional feminist movement. Believe all women. No, they don't. Apparently not, no. White House advisor Kellyanne Conway. 3 magic words. Believe all women. I didn't hear an asterisk. I didn't see a footnote. Believe all women so long as they're attacking someone aligned with President Trump. Believe all women so long as they have a college degree or better, or are for abortion in the 9th month. Nice touch. In fact, believe all women does have an asterisk. It's never been a feminist boilerplate. Again, I'd like to remind you, I did provide an image of the Kavanaugh hearings where believe all survivors was there. So, just that, yeah. What we're witnessing is another incident of the right to crying what it imagines the women's right movement to believe. Well, we didn't have to imagine it. We actually saw it happen. Spend some mind-numbing hours tracking the origins of Believe All Women on social media sites and news databases, as I did, and you'll discover how language, like a virus, can mutate overnight. All of a sudden, yesterday's quotes suffer the insertion of foreign DNA that makes them easy to weaponize. In this case, the foreign intrusion is the word all. Well, again, the statement, believe women, is unqualified. It suggests all by its plain terms. It doesn't provide any differentiation. It just says, believe women. Unqualified. Therefore, all. So, again, logically, I don't know what the difference is. I suppose there is difference in believe women that you are technically leaving yourself open a space where you can qualify it on a later term and say, well, what I really meant was, and be consistent with it. So you're leaving yourself open, the opening. But the statement on its own terms suggests all. All insertion was all the rage during the Kavanaugh hearings. When senators from Kamala Harris to Mazie Hirono had their regards for Dr. Blasey credibility elevated by the Fox News pundits to universal general credulity, their actual words as, I believe her, became believe all women. Okay. That's literally the hashtag. Former Fox News contributor Morgan Artogas said in February 2019, there's a great search function on Twitter, and you can search believe all women for those who don't believe what the Democrats had in the case of Kavanaugh. Is there literally a hashtag? Well, kind of. Meaningfully tracking hashtags on Twitter is a confounding chore. Yes, because no one owns hashtags. Even for professional data scrapers I consulted, It's a very interesting rabbit hole. Pablo Morales Henry, digital archivist at Harvard University Schlesinger Library, which maintains a collection of more than 30 million Me Too related tweets. What a great collection to have in your library. Nevertheless, let's take the Ortega's challenge. As she noted, Twitter has a search function that, while hardly great, does at least crudely reflect use, especially by the most popular users who are most likely to spread a hashtag far and wide. For instance, type in Black Lives Matter or Make America Great Again, you'll get bottomless well of references. Type in Believe All Women for 2017, when the Me Too movement took off in October, you'll get several dozen references, followed by the 2018, the year of Kavanaugh hearings, by many more. But here's the thing. I found the hashtag is, by a wide margin, used mostly by its detractors. Okay, well, you were the ones using this tag, apparently Believe Women, and you're the ones not saying what it meant. And what we were hearing on the right was, you mean Believe All Women, because it's unqualified. Now, if you wanted to qualify and say, no, what we really mean is XYZ, that would have been helpful, but I don't really remember that happening at the time. I just remember Believe All Women, women are great, women never would lie, women would never frame a guy, women would never lie, a woman would never lie, exaggerate, or misremember, or in any way, unless her name is Tara Reid, apparently, was the exception to the rule. It seems that Believe All Women's first appearance on Twitter made it in 2014 in 3 tweets by an Ontario midwife, a Toronto educator, and lifelong learner. I'm not sure why it's in quotes, but oh, whatever. And Jenna and Kyla, twins from Ottawa, who plan events in their spare time. Combined following, fewer than 4,000 followers. Is followers the way that this works? Is that how we're doing this thing? Then, in the fall of 2015, Hillary Clinton posted a tweet to every survivor of sexual assault. Well, that sounds like all. Every is another way of saying all. So Hillary Clinton is apparently saying all. She's using the word every, but that is the same word as all. It's a global term. All the things, everything. So Hillary Clinton apparently is part of the far right. Scary. Hillary Clinton posted a tweet to every survivor of sexual assault, you have the right to be heard. You have the right to be believed. Again. Hillary Clinton is saying every. You have the right to be believed. All have the right to be believed. Hillary Clinton, member of the alt-right. Noted. To which Yanta Broddick, who alleges that Bill Clinton raped her in 1978, responded on Twitter, Hillary trying to silence me. Yes. Conservative editor David French, who presumably has no relation to our mutual friend Leonard French, who has a large Twitter following, retweeted Miss Broddick at once, attaching the hashtag Believe All Women, founded by 4 question marks. It's a good question. What are the rules? What are the rules? When are we supposed to believe women and when not? I thought it was every woman, Miss Clinton. All of them. No? Okay. The breath was on the ember. Ooh. Where is the Believe All Women crowd on this? Believe all women unless case damages the leftist narrative. That's what it definitely seems like, yes? This puts Believe All Women liberals in a bind. It should be a good show. Yes. And so on. As it happens, the canard, which again, brought on by far alt-right figure Hillary Clinton, who used the word every. As it happens, the canard, blown into a bonfire by the right, became an accepted truth in the mainstream media. From NPR to New York Times to the Globe to Mail in Canada, with pronouncements characterizing Believe All Women as the rallying cry for Me Too, the order of the day, and the formula for miscarriage if there ever was one. Wasn't Me Too undifferentiated? Wasn't it anyone who made a claim was valid? Wasn't that the point? Everyone could just say it and it's true because no one would ever lie or exaggerate in any way. Good times. It all came full circle last week when Megyn Kelly stated in her interview with Tara Reid, which I have not seen, which I probably should watch just for the lulz. Some of those who touted "we must believe all women" line the most during, for example, the Kavanaugh hearing, which again, the image for this video is an image from the Kavanaugh hearing, which said "believe all survivors." So, the idea of all was there, and again, Miss Reid would presumably be a survivor. So, where's the banner for her? I'd like to know that. Some who touted the "we believe all" line the women the most during the Kavanaugh hearings certainly have changed their tune when it seems to come to you. Yes, they have. Yes, they certainly have. In my online searches, I've encountered some feminists who seem genuinely to subscribe to the phrase. Yes, amazing. But overwhelming, the Twitterati delivery ploy were conservatives wielding as a whip. Why? I'd like to know what your metrics were for that. Did you try to keep score? And how do you determine if someone's a feminist or not? Just out of raw curiosity. How do you determine if someone's a feminist or not, to determine whether or not it's feminists who are using the term or not? Presumably, you could, in theory, be a Republican or a conservative and be a feminist. So presumably, merely because you're right-leaning wouldn't preclude you from being a feminist, right? We don't want to make this a monolith. We don't want to say that it's only left-wing people who are feminists, surely, right? We don't want to make this a monolith, right? Or only Democrats who are, or only, only those. So presumably, in order to not make this a monolith, because I know how much the left hates monoliths, presumably it's possible to be a Republican or a conservative and be a feminist. So my question is to her, or to this person writing this article, how do you know who is a feminist and who is not when you're categorizing this? What you wanted it to be in your own head? Is there any sort of rigor to this in any way? Are we making the rules up as we go along? Are we defining who is and who is not a feminist based on our own subjective view rather than some sort of definition? I'm guessing that's the answer, yes. I'm guessing we're making it up as we go along. I'm not sure how you know they're conservatives, other than we don't like them, but okay. Because the right knows that the Me Too activists do well to keep in mind, peril lies in purity. It sure does. Wow. The right has been saying this for a long time as we watch the left eat itself alive. Peril does lie in purity. You can never be pure enough. No one can be pure enough. No one is ever pure enough. No one's ever safe. So it has been fun on the right watching the left eat itself through this because no one can ever be pure enough. If the pluralism of the women's movement can be reduced to a rigid boilerplate in the public mind, so it's a pluralist concept. So the women's concept is a pluralist concept. So if it's a pluralist concept, then what are the confines, if any, of the women's movement? Seriously. If the women's movement is a pluralist concept so that it has a lot of different things, what is left for the women's movement? What are its defining characteristics? What are things that are not defining characteristics of it? What things are in and what things are out? What things are included and what things are excluded? If it's pluralistic and it can mean anything we want to mean at any time, then it's ungrounded. It has no foundation. It's a meaningless phrase. The entire women's movement, if the women's movement is truly pluralistic how? Pluralistic in what ways? Would you like to define the categories of them? Would you like to give me some benchmarks? No? You want to keep it open? So it can be whatever you want to be? That sounds good. The future of Me Too will have to do more to lose from a single untruthful woman who swore to defend it than boatloads of predatory men. We are looking for a consistent philosophy. The right, incidentally, does have a consistent philosophy, and for the large part, at least as far as I can tell, the right has been largely consistent on its philosophy when it comes to Joe Biden. I listen to quite a bit of right-wing media, and most right-wing media I've listened to has said that they have doubts about the story. Most right-wing media have been beating up the left to death for their hypocrisy over it and been saying, what about Me Too? But most of the right-wing media I've listened to has said, well, we have some serious doubts here. We actually think due process is warranted. It seems to me, and again, I'm on the right, so maybe I'm biased, but the right-wing media that I'm listening to seems to my mind to be mostly consistent between how they treated Blasey Ford and how they treat Tara Reade, how they treated Kavanaugh and how they treat Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden has a little bit more going for him than Blasey Ford. As I mentioned, there were contemporaneous accounts, like at the time, that Blasey Ford didn't have. So the Biden allegations have a little bit more going for them. So you could differentiate it based on that. You could say we need evidence, and there wasn't enough in Blasey Ford, and there is enough here because there's more here than there was there. So you could differentiate it based on that. But most of the right-leaning people I've listened to have said, no, we have some serious doubts. There doesn't seem to be a pattern of contact. There doesn't seem to be anything else that seems to be questionable. Now, they've been endlessly beating up the left for their own hypocrisy, but it's a little bit different. So it seems to me, from my vantage point, the right has been mostly consistent, not so much on the left. The left who says believe women or believe all women, and now no, not so much because it's inconvenient. The right is the one who likes categories. The right are the ones who like rules and process and categories and boxes that we can put things into. Boxes are nice. We like categories. And it seems to me, have been mostly treating it the same. Again, if you want to say that this is more credible, there's more evidence, I think you can, because there is more evidence. Now, whether or not you believe it, he's entitled to due process. We all think that. But yeah, so yeah, fun times. So our saying that you have a problem in your movement is pointing out that you can't live by your own rules. So yes, one lying woman will do more damage to your movement than all the predatory men in the world, because it's your movement. The predatory men aren't your movement. You are trying to address a real problem. We understand this. We understand the problem you are trying to solve. We get it. How we solve that problem is kind of important. And if you are the one saying, well, believe all women, and we're saying this is a problem, and you're saying, no, believe all women, and then we come to this woman and say, what about this one? And say, and it causes your movement to destroy itself in a fit of logical contradiction. We did try to warn you. We did try to warn you that there was a problem. And you insisted at the time there is no problem, and now you're realizing, oh yeah, there's a problem. Because the right wing is better able to see dangers, I guess. We were able to see a problem. This is not going to work. And yeah, we are where we are. Fun times. This is why believe all women is not an application of believe all women, but a negation. All right, let's try to actually do that in formal logic. This is going to be fun in formal logic. All right, believe all women is a negation of believe women. It's been a long time. It's been a very, very long time since I've done formal logic, so I don't remember all the symbols. But this makes me want to get out the paper and start drawing the U's and the upside down U's and the triangles and the little dots, and start doing it in formal logic language. This makes me want to break out pen and paper and do this in formal logic, which I haven't done in forever. Using all the little fun symbols and the little Z with the little cross through it and the E that's backwards, that means it exists. All those little fun symbols. This makes me want to break this out and do this in formal logic. Believe all women is a negation of believe women. So believe all women means don't believe men, or I don't know. Yeah. If I try to apply this in formal logic, I feel my brain is going to explode. All right, let's press on before that happens. As Mr. Morales Hendry at the Slanger Library told me, after several days of analyzing the two hashtags, it looks like believe all women, especially recently, is being used in opposition to believe women. Okay. It used spikes on occasions where allegations are made against liberal politicians, often with a companion hashtag decrying a double standard. There is a bit of a double standard. I'd like to take a note here that at no point so far has this article rebutted the presumption that there is a double standard. This article is so far analyzing that there's a difference between believe women and believe all women. But make note here that the article hasn't so far made no attempt to say that there is not a double standard when it comes to how Biden is being treated and how Kavanaugh is treated. Make note that they have in no way attempted to rebut the double treatment. So if believe all women, even assuming that believing all women is being used by the right to expose the hypocrisy of the left, then address the hypocrisy. Fix the problem. But they don't want to. Because to fix the problem, they have to do one of two things, right? Presumably. They have to either, A, apply the current standard, which means horrible things for Joe Biden, or B, revise the standard, which means horrible things for their movement. They have wound in a space of contradiction. They want in a space of logical contradiction. And so they can solve this by one of two ways. They can either apply it or they can revise it. And they don't want to do either of those things. So they're stuck in a bind. $4.99 from Ghost of Recon. Have a drink on me. Thank you, sir. It is super appreciated. Thank you. So we'll see if at any point in this article they want to rebut that there's not a double standard. That will be entertaining. Do you want to, at any point in this article, say, no, actually, as it happens, we don't have a double standard, you stupid, stupid right-wing people. Don't you get it? We don't have a double standard. This is our standard. And we've always had this standard. You want to tell me that? That'd be great. That'd be good. The double standard purity test operates in only one direction only. Conservatives are unfazed by their own blatant hypocrisy. That's not the game they're playing. Kellyanne Conway claims it's pro-woman to believe all women before walking that into the White House. Well, I don't know if the right wing is confronted by its own hypocrisies. The right wing, I can differentiate this, and I will. Right, there is the religious right, and you can make a criticism about them, to be sure, and whether or not they're being problematic in some way. But the right wing, I don't know that we have a problem in hypocrisy. We try to apply rules and try to apply consistently. What are we doing that is inconsistent? I don't know. It's unsaid. Conservatives have been oddly immunized by their own shamelessness, as opposed to the left wing's shamelessness, which we're being exemplified as we see right now. How do you fight, to quote W.B. Yeats, with one who, where it proved he lies, was neither ashamed in his own nor in his neighbor's eyes? Well, I don't know. Good question. The right being adverse to principle. Oh, really? The right is adverse to principle? Holy Lord. The right is defined by principle. Like, for example, our beliefs in due process, our beliefs in freedom of speech, our belief in discourse, our belief in individual freedom, our belief in individual liberty, our belief in individual responsibility. These are the things that, in general, define the right. Our preference for state level control versus federal control. These are things that generally define the right. Our preference for doing things slowly and more methodically, and not breaking everything. That'd be great. So, where does this leave the feminists? Good question. Feminists have indeed believed many things about all women, including apparently that some men can become women. So that's a good logical question. That's a good logical question for my friends on the left. That'll be good. All right, here's a good one. Because apparently a man can become a woman, according to some people on the left. So if there is a man, how do you know whether or not to believe him? Because he may become a woman in the future, at which point you would believe him. So does he transfer becoming from believable to not believable in the future? Or is he believable now because he's always was a woman? How's this work again with transitioning? I don't know. If you transition, were you always a woman? And if so, should you have always believed them even though they weren't transitioned yet? Is this retroactive in time? How does this work with time and believing men who become women? And if a woman transitions to becoming a man, is she now no longer believable now? Or was she also not believable in the past? So if you believe a woman now who becomes a man later, should you have believed her now? How does this work with time? Okay. That all women are deserving of equal treatment under the law. They sure are. I believe that, yes. Equal pay in the workplace, yes. And we covered that recently in the soccer case with the women pay. We covered it very, very recently. I believe women should be paid the same. Yes. And the women were offered it. According to the court, they were offered the same deal. And the women said no. Well, I think women should be free to make choices. They were offered, according to the court again, the same deal the men got, and they didn't want it. Okay. And now they're sad because they would have been paid more. Well, I don't know what to tell you. You literally had the exact same opportunity and you didn't want it. I believe in equal pay. If you don't want equal pay, I'm not going to shove it down your throat, though. Reproductive health, which I assume means abortion, always great. Freedom from domestic violence, which also men would like. That would be great. And feminists have long held that all women should be believed, when all refers to categories of women. Equal regardless of race, religion, or economic status. This is what Anita Hill meant when she said in CNN. How do you know what she meant? Did you ask? Just out of curiosity. And until we can believe all women, every woman's voice has value. None of us will be seen as equal. Reading her comments in full, it's clear she wasn't giving equal credence to every individual woman, but equal standing all races, all sizes, all backgrounds. I'm not sure who opposes this. All else being equal, you would assume that everyone is equal. So I'm not sure who opposes this. Was there a large group who said we're not going to give credence to women based on race? I don't quite remember that, but okay. I mean, the modern era. I mean, specifically women, specifically because of race. There are definitely people who said we won't give credit to people of particular races. This is fair. But were there people who said in general give credence to races, but not if they're a minority race? And also, was there a multi-factor racist thing? It's like, I will give credence to a black person and I'll give credence to a woman, but not both at the same time. Was this a thing? I don't quite remember that, but okay. Good luck finding any feminist who thinks we should believe everything all women have to say, even what they say about sexual assault. Okay, so you are telling me that we shouldn't believe everything a woman says about sexual assault. So you're telling me that occasionally a woman might lie, exaggerate, misremember in some way. On occasion. Okay. For example, maybe lazy forward. No, not her. Why not her? Again, we've done nothing to rebut the double standard element yet. I don't know if we're going to get into that, but we're not there. Even what they say about sexual assault, history offers ample evidence of the horrors that can ensue when a woman or man is believed who shouldn't be. Remember the Scottsboro boys, or remember the Covington kids, or remember any number of examples. Yes, we can point to any number of examples where people who were believed who shouldn't have been believed, and it's led to all kinds of problems. Yes, man, woman, black, white, old, young, it's led to problems. This is why we typically believe in due process. Yes. Since at least the late 90s, gotcha conservatism specialty has been condemning feminists for failing to live up to their dogmatic label. Yes, that has definitely been a thing because you're the ones trying to create a standard, which is impossible, as far as we can tell. Because every time we've ever tried to qualify it, you shove it in our face. So we've been trying to understand the contours of this thing on the right, because that's how we think. We think and trying to understand categories, and every time we try, you rebuff us. So yes, we've been failing to live up to your label because you have failed to qualify or explain your label. $2 from Catastrophe. I believe all trans, non-binary, disabled people of color. Yes. Yeah, all we need to do is find the Oracle of Delphi, who will tell us all the answers. And given intersectionality, the Oracle of Delphi would presumably be a half Asian, quarter black, quarter Native American, disabled, short person who is transitioning, who is of the Muslim faith, and whatever. And if we can find that person, then we can ask them all the questions and they will know all the answers, because they are the most oppressed by intersectionality terms, I suppose. First, the caricature of feminists is a bunch of groupthink totalitarians. A little bit, yes, that is our perception, yes. We do think you're a bunch of groupthink totalitarians, yes. That is definitely what we think, yes. And then accuse them of hypocrisy every time they're not in lockstep, yes. A little bit. But guess what? Feminism has never been, for 5 minutes, anything about lockstep. Okay, if you say so. If anything, we tend to be at each other's throats more than we're marching in ranks. And that's on other subjects, from comparable worth of women in combat to pornography to Me Too, where feminists from Margaret Atwood to yours truly have argued for proportion and due process. Well, good for you for arguing for due process. Incidentally, I'd like to know, were you there arguing for due process when it came to Brett Kavanaugh? Because I'm suspecting the answer to that question is no. But due process is good. The broad spectrum of opinion with feminists is one of its strengths, not a frailty. Okay, if you'd say so. If feminists see distinctions between Anila Hill, Monica Lewinsky, Christian Brady Floor, and Tara Reid, I say they're doing their jobs. That's hypocrisy, not integrity. That's not hypocrisy, it's integrity. Well, it depends why you're seeing those distinctions, what those distinctions are. $2 from Catastrophe. As long as they're white, they must be honest. Yeah. So if you want to tell me, feminists, if you want to tell me why some of these women should be believed and not others, on what basis, that would be great. What is the basis for believing some of these people, not all these people? It looks suspiciously like it might be because blue no matter who. The ultimate hypocrisy would be a women movement that rallies behind the banner of reductivist hashtags on what every woman thinks. That hasn't stopped you before, but okay. Feminism was birthed out of the desire that women be treated as individuals, not as cookie cutter ideals or a faceless stereotype. That sounds like old school feminism. That sounds like some second or third wave feminism stuff. That is not our perception of what feminism is today. That sounds like some old school feminism to me, not some modern feminism. So yeah. When I searched databases for women's actual statements on Believe All Women, what I found were appeals by women not to be defined in universal terms. I do not believe all women are born with a desire to reproduce, or I do not believe all women interests are the same. An outrage that attempts to categorize their sex. It depends what you mean by categorize. And also, like, generalities are general. That's why they're generalities. So if you say women are like this in general, then we understand as a general. Are you saying believe women is a generality and what are the exceptions? Well, it'd be helpful if you define those because it's your slogan, not ours. So we're under no burden to define this because it was your idea. You're the ones who have to come up with this. That's why I prefer the hashtag #MeToo. That's why the preferred hashtag of the #MeToo movement is believe women. It is different without the all. It is? Why? Believing women is simply a rejoinder to the ancient practice of doubt women. Okay. I think a woman or man should be believed or doubted based on the credibility which they come with. And I believe exceptional claims demand exceptional proof, and more fantastical claims demand more fantastical evidence. And it also depends on your general character, and also depends on a lot of other things. So that's kind of what I believe. For to be disbelieved has consequences if women and witness time out of mind. As one person wrote on Twitter in 2017 concerning a case in which an ex-husband murders 2 young daughters on Christmas. You know what else people should believe women about? When they tell the authorities about their abusive ex and have concerns about their safety and the safety of children, RIP precious girls. We've definitely read cases like that. We've read cases where domestic violence or abusive parents have gotten control of their kids and killed them. There are some real horrible things out there. But by the same token, we don't want to deprive people of their rights properly. People are going to be evil. The government can be more evil. That's the concern. And so I don't know what these authorities did or did not do. But presumably they didn't have enough, and the guy decided to go off the edge. What more could be done while preserving rights? I don't know. Apparently what you'd like to be done is, without more evidence, him be stripped of his children and taken his rights away and so forth and so on. Or another who implored the skeptic culture to give it a try, and hashtag BW is in a stricken reply to news of a woman beaten to death by her husband after doubting judge denied her a protective order. A judge actually denied a protective order, which suggests without more, we'd have to get into it. Why did the judge deny that protective order? Maybe it was really thin. And again, do we not want rights? What are we advocating for exactly? What are we advocating for? Are we advocating that every protective order should be granted? Is that what we're advocating for? I thought we were only to believe women sometimes, which presumably means we shouldn't believe them sometimes, which means presumably sometimes we shouldn't grant protective orders because sometimes they're not telling the truth. What are the rules here again? Are we supposed to believe all women or not? Or are we supposed to believe all women when they're giving testimony about protective orders, but not when they're giving testimony about prior sexual assaults? What are the rules? Are we supposed to believe them all or not? If we believe them all, we should be granting every order, right? Because there's no reason to doubt them. But I thought you said we were only supposed to believe women sometimes. How do you know that this? I mean, what are the rules? What are the rules? The accounts of not being believed are too legion to list, and the list goes longer. For men and women alike, yes. A woman responding to press reports of a student stalked and murdered by a convicted sex offender after appeals to campus and 911 went unheeded for a week. When we say believe women, it's because it can literally be a matter of life or death for us. Okay, again, what is the rule? What is the rule? Are we believing all women? So this woman who called 911, they should have done something because she should have been believed. So should these other ones. The one with the domestic violence, the one with the restraining order. They should have been believed. So they should have been believed. Is the rule believe all women or not? Can we believe? Can we doubt women or not? Under what circumstances? I don't know. No clarity. And not having its message or mission hijacked into story can be life or death for the women's movement. What is your mission? What is your message? Also, you were the one who a couple paragraphs earlier, I can't believe I have to remind you of what you wrote 4 paragraphs ago. But you were the one who was saying the woman's movement is a plurality. You were the one who's saying essentially there's no women's movement because it's a plurality. It's a plethora. It's a life or death for the women's movement. What women's movement? What is the women's movement? It's a plurality. It's anything we want to be. How can you have life or death for a movement that's undefined? What is it? What are the rules? What are the contours? What are you advocating for? What do you want? What do you want? What are the rules? How are you intending to apply those? I have answers to these questions. Because my answers are rooted in due process. And my answers are rooted in 1,000 years of common law. That's how I answer these questions. I have answers. I have answers because I have 1,000 years of common law backing me up. There should be due process. There should be a formal process where people can be evaluated and all that good stuff. $20 from Jason McDonald. Thank you, $20. Thank you for the super chat, Jason. Something tells me the reason the author's father went trans long before it's popular, just to be believed sometimes. This author has actually a bloody Pulitzer. Doesn't surprise me they have a Pulitzer because I think it's you're woke, so have an award thing. Yeah, it's an award thing. We are definitely going to have to get into the depths of the Title IX and Betsy DeVos revised guidelines because the left is going completely freaked out. Because heaven forbid there be due process and an ability to confront your accusers and a clear and preponderance evidence standard. These are horrible, horrible things. We're definitely going to have to get into this. So I'm not sure what women's movement is being destroyed since there isn't one, but okay. Feminism bedrock for being is to free every woman from the concept of all women. Wow. My mind just melted a little bit. Feminism bedrock reason is to free every woman from the concept of all women. Okay. So I hate to apply logic to this, but if we remove every woman from the phrase all women, then all women is an empty set because we've removed all the constituent elements of it by removing every individual. There's now nothing left in the set. So all women describes nobody. Okay, that's great. That's great work. Good job. And Susan Follud is a journalist and something in the dark room. And I'd like to once again point out the article author in no way whatsoever attempted to in any way show why it wasn't double standards as it relates to Kavanaugh and Biden. Taking note, at least in my humble opinion, there is more evidence against Biden than there is for Kavanaugh. There is contemporaneous people who it was contemporaneously reported to. People who remember it at the time, which isn't true for Blasey Ford. So there's more evidence. Now, whether that's enough, I don't know. But they made absolutely no attempt in their article to show why it's not double standards with respect to these two people. I suspect because there's no way to do it. That would be hard. How do you not have double standards and believe Ford but not believe Tara Reid? That's a logical challenge, man. Makes my lawyer brain want to start running in circles. How can I justify this unjustified position? How can I make this work? You've come to me as a lawyer. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to figure out a way that I can say Kavanaugh did it, but Biden didn't do it, and not be a hypocrite, even though there's more evidence for Biden than for Kavanaugh. Can you do it, Kurt? Can you do it? I'm not getting paid enough, man. I'm not getting paid enough. So that is what's happening. It's super fun. So I don't know if the right started the Believe All Women or not. Apparently the left started Believe Women, and apparently by Believe Women, that was supposed to include a whole bunch of asterisks, which I don't even know what those asterisks are. The rules seem suspiciously like they're making it up as they go along. Seems suspiciously like it's outcome and then working backwards to the justification. Seems kind of what's going on. So, there's that. So I hope you enjoyed this edition of Stupid Letter Time from the New York Times. This was truly enjoyable and horrible. Yeah, good times. So I might be on later today with more in the Amaya Cohen case because her attorneys have responded. So I might do that either later today or tomorrow. I'll get back to you. Right now I have to go because I'm doing a improv class on Zoom. Very exciting. For those of you who don't know, I take improv classes. I like improv. I'm trying to expand my theatrical repertoire. So I'm going to take some improv. When I showed up to the improv class yesterday, as may surprise no one, they asked everyone their pronouns. And so they asked, who are you, where are you from, and who are you, what's your deal basically, and what's your pronouns. And so everyone went in turn, right? So when it came to me, I just said, my name's Kurt, I'm from DC, this is blah blah blah. And I didn't say what my pronouns are. And so the facilitator said, and your pronouns? I just said, I'll defer. Because I'm like, this is stupid. But what you gonna do? What you gonna do? All right, guys, I'm out. Peace.